and I'm feeling good.
Now, I understand before we went on the air, there was a little bit of talk here about controversy surrounding The End of Faith by
Sam Harris.
Yes. He has, Russell, you say he has said something about...
I read an article which unfortunately I neglected to bring this week, but it was written by Sam Harris, and the title was Heads in the Sand Liberals, which I, of course, immediately took offense to, and of course it was posted to an atheist board by a conservative, which, you know, just makes it that much easier to take offense to it. But the point he was making I found kind of interesting, which was basically liberals have this tendency to say nice things about Islam, like, oh, they're not really a violent religion, it's just some extremists. And Sam Harris says that liberals have too much of a tendency to give the benefit of the doubt to something which really is a very, very dangerous institution in general, in his opinion. And that, yes, he finds Islam in general to be worse right now than Christianity is. And liberals do not acknowledge that as much as he feels they should. I don't suppose, Matt, could you hunt that down and see if there's anything quotable from there?
Or just a link to the article that we could...
Yeah, right. Post a link to that since we're not going to be able to discuss it.
What do you think, Russell? Do you disagree?
I have a problem talking about religions in general because there are as many religions as there are people. I mean, I believe that faith in general is not a good thing, which I think is something Sam Harris would agree with me about.
Right.
But I don't find Islam inherently more dangerous than Christianity. Historically, Christianity has done a lot of bad things, but then people seem to argue a lot that, well, that all happened a long time ago, and Christianity is more or less kept in check now, and so it's not as dangerous as Islam.
Well,
and I've also read a number of claims saying that basically the Quran, much more than the Bible, has specific directives saying you should, in general, kill unbelievers.
Well, we actually talked about this on last week's TV show.
Yeah.
The Quran does have those explicit orders in there, and so does the Bible. It's just that people who follow the Bible don't pay any heed to those instructions to kill unbelievers. Right. So does that mean that Christianity is better than Islam, or does it just mean that Christianity happens to be the one?
Hold on. Wait, just a moment.
We're talking about two different things.
Yeah. Is Sam Harris claiming that liberals fail to recognize that Christianity is, in an ultimate sense, not as dangerous as Islam? Is that what he's saying? Or is he only saying, at this particular moment in time, Islam is more dangerous than Christianity?
If you were to qualify it with at this particular point in time, then I think we would all agree with it.
So you think he's not qualifying it that way? The article that you read, you didn't see him...
It's not clear to me, because there are a number of people on this message board who like to go and agitate in general by saying that Islam is worse than Christianity. Even some atheists I know. Islam, the religion, inherently.
Now, see, I look at it, the foundations of both religions, the two books, I would say they're both pretty vile. And they both can be used to support whatever kind of vicious atrocities and nonsense you want. What the difference is, the people who are the members of those religions, how do they act in general? And in general, you don't have Christians going around killing people as often as you have Muslims doing it. Even among, and we're still just talking about fundamentalists, because there are plenty of Islamic people who aren't. Well, I think I would say everybody that's religious is a little crazy, but there are extremists who aren't violent. Mm-hmm. But even among fundamentalists of both, Islam's got the edge hands down. I mean, it's just obvious. You know, the Pope says stuff and people go off. The Danish cartoon people draw a cartoon. And
I think it's fair to question whether that is really inherent to the religion or whether it is just a consequence of this moment in time where, frankly, there are Muslim theocracies, but there aren't any Christian theocracies. If we had Christian theocracies, imagine the United States in, say, 20 years, if it got turned into the theocracy that the right-wing Christians would like it to be. Yeah. And then somebody says something bad about Christianity. Would we really expect a softer response from crazed American Christians? Really?
You think that Christians,
that says yes.
There wouldn't be Sharia law under Christianity? I mean,
there's guys trying to legislate the Ten Commandments. There was a group in Africa running around saying that they were going to legislate the Ten Commandments, and what they were is a big gang that went around killing people, stealing their children to turn them into little crazed armed missionaries. And there are examples of Christianity going that crazy.
Yeah, I think the difference here is that
it was called some Ten Commandments.
I don't even consider the problem. The problems are fundamentally religious, but they're also societal.
Yeah.
If America turned into a Christian theocracy, you've still got an American society mentality where you're privileged, you're not oppressed, you're not wanting for food, you're living in a good environment. And, oh, by the way, your religion happens to be in control now that you have this theocracy. So I don't see the sort of violent uprising that you see in a society has been oppressed and at war for centuries.
On the other hand, I've heard stories about what Afghanistan was like before the Taliban came in and basically took the place over violently. And apparently we think of Afghanistan as this backward third world country, but apparently, there were schools and doctors and lawyers and women holding down jobs and the stuff that we associate with a modern enlightened society. And then the Taliban just showed up and everybody all of a sudden was wearing burqas.
It didn't take long as soon as the religious laws got imposed. And Christianity's got its own set of religious laws.
Yeah, the thing is that you can't get Christians, even the fundamentalists, to agree on which of those laws should be.
That's only because right now, since they're not in charge, it's possible for a whole bunch of different kinds of Christians to coexist.
You don't think they're in charge?
Not to the extent...
Not in the way that the Taliban...
Yeah, not in the way that the Taliban is in charge. If they got in charge in the way that the Taliban was in charge, it seems to me a single brand of Christianity would emerge as the official kind. But the people that want to turn the United States into a theocracy have a particular brand of Christianity in mind.
Can I actually go ahead and read a passage from this? Because Matt pulled it up for me. And
right.
His
we're off discussing what he actually said and just exploring the issue.
Okay, so Sam Harris writes,
yeah.
Given the mendacity and shocking incompetence of the Bush administration, especially its mishandling of the war in Iraq, liberals can find much to lament in the conservative approach to fighting the war on terror. Unfortunately, liberals hate the current administration with such fury that they regularly fail to acknowledge just how dangerous and depraved our enemies in the Muslim world are. Recent condemnations of the Bush administration's use of the phrase Islamic fascism are a case in point. There's no question that the phrase is imprecise. Islamists are not technically fascists, and the term ignores a variety of schisms that exist even among Islamists. But it is by no means an example of wartime propaganda, as has been repeatedly alleged by liberals.
Huh, okay. I kind of agree with that.
Let's see. And there's also some stuff about Israel here, which is interesting because he says basically there is no question that the Israelis now hold the moral high ground in their conflict with Hamas and Hezbollah, and yet liberals in the United States and Europe often speak as though the truth were otherwise, which I actually find myself occasionally at odds with other liberals about, because I find this whole thing deeply complicated.
Yeah.